Mark Twain has been called the father of American rickshaw. This is because his books capture deep things about the American soul, the soul of people who dare the rickshaw into the unknown and to imagine and build a new nation out in the wilderness. Mark Twain understood American hope and joy, and it's real too. His words made it all come alive. The big cities and the town of the Wild West and Rocky Mountains and the Nevada deserts, the big lakes and Mexico forests. But above all, he loved Mississippi River. He spent wheels on Mississippi as the pilot of steam powered riverboats. For Mark Twain, life in America is always a great big adventure. This is why Americans of all ages love to read him to this day. Many see living in the country they loved as great adventure too. Besides, he had a great sense of humor. Everyone likes a good laugh. Mark Twain wasn't born as Mark Twain. He was born as Samuel Longhorn Crimmins. He was born 2 months prematurely on November 3rd, 1835. He was a small, but that his parents didn't think he thrived. This was before hospitals had today means to save babies born that early. Criminals lived in a small Missouri village called Ford, out in the wilderness. There were only 4 dozen families in Florida back then. Now there are none. The place has since been deserted from early on. Samuel has, as he was called when he was little, would listen to the sounds of the night. They seemed to promise adventure and danger. Frogs croaking, crickets chirping, winds whistling, and dogs howling. All of these would sometimes sound as close as if they were just outside his window, and sometimes small and distant in the deep, great big silence of the night. Even as a toddler, Sam May had his own funny way of looking at things. The dog has a tail behind. He once informed his family he had meant to say behind. The cat also has a tail behind, he said, and I hasn't any tail behind at all. His Uncle John decided to fix this and pinned a paper tail to the back of Simon's pants. There was one plantation in Florida, Missouri back then, and its owner had slaves. One of these slaves was an old woman whom the children called Aunt Hannah. The children believed she was 1,000 years old. She had even known Moses, they said, and had seen the greatest, most evil slave holder of all, the wicked Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Some even said he had seen the Egyptian army wash over the sea when they had tried to chase Moses and the people of Israel. He never caught them and they had escaped to freedom. And Hannah was very cousin was old, but she knew how to tell children the spooky stories about witches and elves, about magic and wonder and dawn. He didn't know it what who the summer's first one from Aunt Hannah, the author that would make him famous one day storytelling. When Sammy was 4 years old, the family moved to the town of Hannibal, Missouri, on the banks of Mississippi River. Hannibal would become the model for his imaginary talent, which Mark Twain, whose two most famous novels would be set, Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, when he imagined Tom and Huck doing the mischief, playing in the woods, sneaking to the graveyard in the dead of night, or swimming in the Mississippi. This was where he imagined them. When Simon grew a little older, he began to explore his surroundings by day, and by night it was sometimes scary. Back the possibility of winter always beckons. Simon shared bedroom with his brother uh, Henry on the scattered floor of the family home. Sometimes in the dead of night, his friends would whistle to him from outside, imitating a boat car, so that the dogs wouldn't notice them. Sammy would get dressed in the dark, carefree, not to wake Henry up. He would crawl out of the window, would then walk along a small ledge, jump onto the roof of a shed, and slide down from there onto the ground. He and his friends would then have their own secret night adventure. Sammy was very much like his Tom Sawyer, and like him, he often got into trouble. Sam loved to play Robin Hood, pretending that the woods around Hannibal were Sylvan forest. Sam himself would be Robin, but he was not content with just playing a part. He also directed everyone else, making them memoirs lines from the book The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood. When he was ready, it would all appear in The Adventure of Tom Sawyer, with Tom doing what Sam himself once did, playing Robin Hood and telling his friends what to do. As you can imagine, that the boys were not always happy with being told what to do. I'm Robin Hood, declared Tom Sawyer, just as Sam once had done. Then the art do indeed the famous outlaw acts Joe Harper, Tom's friend, playing Guy of Gooseburn. Then the two boys from the Adventure of Tom Sawyer stakes the fight from Mary and the Merry Adventure of Robin Hood. Something so refused to wield. So Tom got angry and said, "Fall, fall, why don't you fall?" I said, "So, why don't you fall so? You get in the worst of it. Why, that is anything. I can't fall that in the way is in the book." The book says. Then with one backhand struck his through poor guy of Claiborne, who to turn around what me hit her in the back. There was no getting around the authority. Saxon turned, received the whack and fell. "Now," said Joe, getting up, "we got to let me kill you that fell." "Why, I can't do that. That is in the book," said Tom. All of this is in the book, Adventures of Tom Sawyer. When we read it one day, Tom Sawyer, Beckett Daxter, and Power and Hunk, Finn, and the rest of the gang will come alive for too, like they have for so many children before. It was this book, along with the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, that would make Sam Mark Twain very famous writer, and not just in America, but all around the world. Is Tom really just Sam when he was one? Did what in the book will happen? And I exactly hear what Sam Mark Twain would in the prefix of the book. Most of the events recorded in this book will occur one or two spells of my own. Rest of those of boys who were schoolmates of mine. Huck Finn is drawn from life. Tom Sawyer also, but not from a interview. He is combining of the characters of three boys whom I knew. But in one sense it was very well. The purpose of the book, Mark Twain explained, is not just to entertain boys and girls. He said, that adults would read it too. Part of my plan, he wrote, had been to try to present remind us of what they once were themselves, and how they felt, and not talk, and what queer enterprise they sometimes engaged. Would it been nice if thoughts sometimes remember how they felt when they were small, understood better what the children feel and think it would probably save everyone a whole world of trouble. When Sam was just 11 years old, struck his father died of distraction. Paramount which was offered deadly back then, if we had good hospitals and modern medicine. Sam eventually had to leave school and go to work to help the family get by. He became a princess and a prince when his older brother Anin bought only a small local newspaper. Sam helped him with the printing, also wrote some funny news stories to beef up the paper. Sam would venture write for many newspapers later in life. But for now, where most boys eggs, who grew up near the Great Mississippi River, he wanted to be a riverboat pilot. The pilot of a riverboat was even more popular than the boat captain. He was navigator who helped the captain steer the boat away from trouble. The Mississippi riverboat could be hooks very hard to move. They could be the width of a football field, and sometimes even more. The long rivers with odd bends and islands contain many hazards to the big flat bottom boats, and the water rocks rather walters, sharp turns, jagged banks. It was the pilot's job to warn all these obstacles in the light of day, in the dark of night. It was up to him to make sure the captain knew to avoid them. It took Sam 2 hours to max the river, and the third to it. He had to the pay was so high that he had to take out a wound his sail up and down the mighty 1,200 river till he memorized every nook and cranny. Only then he did. He became a real fox pilot. Being a river pilot, he would say, that was as free as a person could ever hope to be, sailing aboard different boats, respect by all, getting paid a handsome salary too. It was a dream come true. Many hours he stood at the brakes of these big boats, breathing the early morning air, or feeling the chill of the breeze at night, hearing the cracking of steam engines or the crashing water at the ship whose paddle wheel. These were among the happiest times Sam ever knew. The river that he loved would come to life in his books. It was also from this perfection that Sam would later draw the luxury name we all know him by, Mark Twain. Mark Twain was a river poet, called the depth that was safe for river boats. If we insert a special measure in the water and the water reaches the scatter mark, Twain meant to like twins that then the water was deep enough for boats to pass through. I suppose and hoped that I was going to follow the river the rest of my days. Sam would say, I die at the well when my mission was in it. That how much he loved his job. But it was not to be. In November 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected president, and soon the South succeeded from the Union on April 12, 1861. The first shots were fired at Fort Sumter, and the Civil War began. Travel on Mississippi was blocked by the Union. At the border that separated north from south, Sam quailed as a river pirate was over. It would take a while to see this as a blessing in disguise if Sam had stayed the river pirate. Some of the greatest mega breakthrough treasures would probably never have been written. When Sam Brother Owen was appointed Secretary of Nevada Territory, before Nevada became a state, Sam decided to join him and try his luck out in the Wild West. For 3 weeks they traveled by stagecoach, bumping along the roads and tripping on sacks of mail that the stagecoach carried out west. Sam would capture the spells in a book called Roughing It. Two brothers had great adventure, no longer were they where they had come from. They were not right where they were going. Instead, they were out of time and out of place, carefree, open, absorbing new, unfamiliar, the unexpected, hot desert sun, the scary cold mountains, the beautiful rivers, the vast forests, and the magnificent of the American outdoors all passed by them if the nature itself wanted to play all its awesome beauty. They traveled through Kansas and Nebraska territory. They crossed the Rockies. They had passed through Salt Lake City until finally they arrived at the destination Carson City, Nevada. There, Sam tried his hand at mining to discover a hook silver deposit underground had spotted gold rush to the area. Many hoped to get rich overnight if they found gold or silver in the earth. Through then, though Sam was not among the lucky, he returned to the newspaper business. He settled in a mining town called Virginia City, Nevada, where he took a full-time job as a writer for local paper named Territory Enterprise. The one before the movies in about Wild West, some writing captured its spirit, its sense of open opportunity, while hopes, lawlessness offered danger to a world about anything and everything, business, entertainment, crime, pockets, gossip, as if writing with a permanent, makeshift smile. He knew how to make his readers laugh, even as he also made them think. But what made Mark Twain famous throughout the United States was, believe it or not, a funny little story about a frog. Was a frog, and who can tell it? It is going to be funny by the name Sir Jumping Frog of Calvert Country. The story is about a man named Smiley who loved to bet. He would bet on horse races and dog races. He would have bet on cat races if there had been any to be found. If two birds were sitting on a fence, he would bet which would fly first, and if he found a bug, he would bet where it was going and how long it would take it to get there. He would bet on Indian, and if he couldn't get you to bet against him, he would offer it to switch and take one side of the bet. And then one day, Smiley caught a frog and decided to jump. He had a practice day after day till the frog could summon sun and catch flies in the air. He called the frog Dan the Webster, and when he said that fly, the frog would jump and catch a fly. As we may have wanted to guess, Sam Smiley had a plan. He would bet that his frog could jump higher than anyone else's frog. The problem, of course, was that many other people had frogs as pets. Do you know anyone who does? One day, a stranger came to town. He wanted Smiley, who was carrying a box. He asked him what it was in it. Smiley told him it was frog, and not just any frog. It was jumping frog. He offered the stranger $40 and they bet that his frog outjumped the stranger frog. But of course, the stranger had no frog. That white Smiley said, "If you hold my box in a minute, I go and get you a frog," and off he went to find one. The stranger must have expected that Smiley was up to some trick, and that this was no ordinary frog, so he came up with a trick of his own. The stranger fed the frog red, a very heavy kind of metal. When Smiley returned with a frog for the stranger, they set the frogs side by side for the competition. But when Smiley told them both to jump, Dan Webster didn't move. He tried, but with his very forward, he just couldn't lift himself off the ground. So Smiley had to give up $40. Only when he picked up Dan Webster up, it was too late. Did Smiley not why? Blame my cats. If he didn't weigh 5 pounds, he said. He could imagine how that happened. After the celebrate jumping frog and country, Mark Twain taunted for writing became so famous that he secured a place on a dream tour across the Atlantic Ocean and all around the Mediterranean Sea, and all in exchange for writing about it. In those days when there were no movies, no internet, no television, no radio, travel books were the only way for most people to learn about other countries. Imagine what it was like for people to read about all those famous places: Rome, Paris, the ruins of ancient Greece, even the city of Jerusalem that they read about in the Bible. Of course, Mark Twain didn't just describe these places, he made them come alive. He also made fun of everything that everyone else took seriously. Here, how he let readers know that his American colleagues that it was how badly they spoke French. In Paris, they just simply opened their eyes and stared when we spoke to them in French. They succeeded in making these idiots understand their own language. Some people fall in love at first sight, but rare who fall in love at first sight of pictures. Sam was one of them. While on his motoring tour, I thought traveling how one done. So Sam makes a picture of his sister River. Sam was smitten, and when he returned to America, he courted her and would not rest till she gave him her hand in marriage. In the old age, River fell sick, and the doctor forbade her to see people. Sam stayed in the next room with just one warp separating the two of them. That was the nearest to her he could be, and he spent his time in that room writing her love letters and funny notes. He could see her, by which he could push these notes letters under her door. He loved her so deeply, and he missed her so much that when she was sick, he could hardly think of anything else. Highway comet appears in Earth sky once in every 75 years as they travel around the sun with a beautiful red trail. Summer Wankhorn Clemens was born shortly after Harry comic Grace of Sky in 1835. Some predict that he would leave this earth with Harry comic just as he had came into it. He was right. He passed away the day after Harry comics made causes reports to Earth on April 21, 1910. It was as if Sam life right. A story ended with a pivot. In his old age, Mark Twain became the most famous living American. He was even present there was guests in the White House. He was invited to give lectures around the world. Upon he returned, crowds would gather to see famous man disembark the ship and that had carried him home. People would congrats to hear him speak, and readers await every fruit of his pen. Sam Clemens himself is no longer with us, but Mark Twain books are part of a next treasure who may read his work and a one under the small white above her bed at the desk or under a tree outside, but were not very one in reading him who joined the great American experience of generation past and many American generations to come. Mark Twain was a wealth of money invested in technical invention that came to nothing. He would recover much of it by writing best-selling books. He left school after 5th grade. He waited educated himself in public libraries. He was a passenger aboard a steamship that wrecks the thriving crew of a wrecked ship. In the middle of the writing, he wrote a moving account of the wrecked crew. He wrote a book about a modern American who traveled back in time. It's called A Connected Ranking King Arthur Cook. He and his wife had 4 children. Famous American novelist Ernest Hemingway said that all modern Americans' works came from one book by Mark Twain called Huckleberry Finn. He believed humor was a great way to look at his wife even at sad things. Anger is an asset that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. Age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Actions speak louder than words, but not nearly as often. Picture is supporting our country all the time, and our government when it dissolved. The report of my death had been greatly exaggerated. When Consul Mary indicated where smiles have been.